Hello, grade 5. Today we are learning mathematics and number patterns with Miss T. Figure. What are our learning outcomes for this lesson? The first will be determining the input values, output values, and the rule of the graph number pattern relationship, or the rule using the graph. The second one would be to investigate and extend numeric patterns looking for relationship or rule within the graph. Key questions. What's climate change? What happened to Antarctic and Arctic pole if the Earth gets warmer? And how many degrees does it take to increase or decrease the volume per meter at Antarctic and Arctic pole? Let's look at our worksheets together. Here it is. Polar poles are melting because of global warming. Let's read. This graph shows patterns and relationships between melting ice per volume and the rising temperature. Look where the variances stay the same, increase or decrease. Climate change is caused by global warming. Global warming is caused by carbon emission. Climate change is the expected weather or region. Climate change is a change of expected weather of a region, biome over time. So climate change is when the weather of a region, which is the biome, changes over time. For example, if you look at Karoo, the Sahara Desert, if it suddenly turns less hot, then it's changing, because as you know, it's a desert, so its biome is supposed to be hot at all times. Climate change refers to the average long-term changes over the entire Earth. This includes warming temperatures and changing in precipitation, and allows the effects of Earth's warming, such as the rising sea levels, shrinking mountain glaciers, ice melting at a faster rate than usual in Greenland, Antarctic, and Arctic, changes in flower and planting blooming times, which is around spring, and ice caps. What are ice caps? Ice caps are frozen water that changes from solid to liquid as shown on the picture. Here it is. These are the mountain glaciers melting. This is the ice. This is a whole mountain. It's just melting. Let's look at our next picture. So let's look at the graph together. The light blue one represents Antarctic pole. The dark blue one is Antarctic pole. So at 10 degrees, -10, -20, -30. Now, grade 4s, you need to know if it's negative and it gets bigger as negative, it means it's getting colder and colder and colder and colder and colder. So at -10, the Arctic pole had the volume of 1000 and hundreds. The Antarctic had 200. As it gets colder, here the volume was actually less than, which is very odd. But at 30, as it gets colder, more ice is preserved. The more colder it gets, the number enlarges. 3,000, 6,000, 6,800. So the volume of ice is getting bigger the colder it gets. Can you see that? And same it goes for the Antarctic. Went from 200, 400, 600, 500. It was stable for a while, and it came back to a rising number. So let's look at our questions. What is global warming? What's the cause of global warming? Show your data with increased volume per kilometer, where it remains the same, where it's increased. Third one is justify where do you think the ice caps are more available with the data provided. Is it Antarctic or Arctic pole? What relationship have you noticed in the graph? Is it colder? Is it that when it gets more cold, the more volume ice caps are frozen? What happens if the earth gets warmer? What happens to the animals at Arctic and Antarctic pole if it gets warmer? Let's look at the graph together, finding the rule using 2 degrees. Antarctic pole, as you can see, x values is the temperature. The y value is the area. Oh, sorry, it's the volume. Okay. X, this is the first x, this is the second x, but there's a formula that you take the second x minus the first x. That's just how it goes at finding the rule using table graphs. So you're gonna say 30 minus 20 negative 30 minus negative 20 equals what? The difference between them, is negative 10 degrees. For the y, second y minus the first y is 2000 minus 1000, how many? 1000 liters per kilometer. Do the same with Antarctic pole. X value, x2 minus x1, which is negative 20 minus negative 10. What? Negative 10 degrees. That's the difference between them. Do the same with the values beneath. 400 minus 200 is what? 200 liters per kilometer. So the rule is negative 10 degrees per 200 liters per meter is the rule. For each 10 degrees, negative 10 degrees, you are saving 200 liters per kilometer of ice. You're freezing, or it's a rule, it's a change. So in summary, to determine input output value and the rule, pattern and relationship between them, the rule is how to find out the rule. Take the inputs y2 minus the y1 inputs gives you the y rule. X2 input value minus the x1 inputs gives you the x value. So that's how you get the rule. And we showed you how what is the input values and the output values. The input values in our case was the temperature. Output was the volume that was affected by the temperature. Input is something that you cannot really change yourself, and the output is what is affected by the input, which in our case was that temperature affected the amount of ice melted at the poles. We use this volume to find out how many degrees it takes to increase or decrease volume per meter at the poles. Thank you so much. I am Miss T and Vega. If you wish to learn more, please subscribe, like, and comment what you wish to see more. Bye, my bright stars.